Welcome back, Tinkers. Ready for more? Great, let's keep at it. So when I left off last, I was showing you what an array was and how to make one. If you don't know what I'm referring to, click here. So now that we've got an array, we're going to want to access the different values stashed inside it. To reference the first value, for example, we would use the name of the array followed by a bracketed 0. If we wanted the second value, we do the same thing, but with a bracketed 1 instead. And of course, a bracketed 2 is needed for this final element. I know it seems kind of strange that these numbers are one less than what you'd think that they should be. And I'll admit, it's rather unintuitive at first, but there are some logical reasons for it. I just don't have time to get into them right now. Now let's try using our array in our code to see what it would look like. That's interesting. It looks like these segments of code are exactly the same except for these numbers right here. Man, it'd sure be nice if we could just tell the program to run this section of code 3 times, but change this number each time we do. As you might expect, there is. Let me tell you about loops. Now there are different kinds of loops, but we're going to focus on the more commonly used one, known as a for loop. Here's how you would spell one out. There are 3 different parts here, all separated by semicolons. How we want to start things out, conditions needed to keep going, and what happens every time we get done running through the code. In our case, we'll start out by making a variable conventionally named I for index or iteration, and assign it the value of 0. Next, we'll tell the loop to keep repeating itself if I stays less than 3. Finally, we'll say that after each time it completes the block of code inside, it increments I by 1, like so. The double plus sign, by the way, is just a shorthand for adding 1 to the value that is stored inside that particular variable. So much stuff! I know. Like I said before, best way to get all this stuff down is to just try it out yourself. Those aha moments will be plentiful and amazing. Okay, so now let's get rid of the repeated parts of our code and just place this segment inside our for loop, and then replace the number in here with the variable I. This means the code will repeat a total of 3 times, replacing I with 0, then 1, then 2. Exactly what we're looking for. Okay, well let's see what happens if we put the rest of the word robot in here. So here's the arrays for the other letters that we're going to need, and here are the for loops that go with them. Oh, looks like our code is getting out of control again. Looks like we're going to need to resort to the almighty function. Functions are amazing. They lend the same kind of code reuse that loops do, but give you way more control over when the code gets run and the variations within it. Let me give you a common example of how one would work. Let's say you wanted a function that could add 2 numbers together. We'd give it 2 integers and get back 1. Think input, processing, and output, similar to what I discussed in this previous video. To write out a function, you would first state the data type of the value that will be used as output, which is known as a return value. Then we write the name of our function, followed immediately by parentheses. Not all functions need input, but the ones that do will have variables declared inside the parentheses like so. Like loops, the code that gets executed lives between these curly braces. In this example, it's as simple as declaring a variable z and giving it the value of whatever x plus y is. Not all functions have output either, but the ones that do require you to specify what it is with the return statement. To use this function, we simply call it by name, placing the values we wish to use as input. Getting back to our Morse code here, the difference between these 5 chunks are these 2 things. So let's drop the code from one of these sections into a function and change these 2 parts into something a little more generic. Now we need to be sure to declare those variables inside the parentheses. And just in case you were wondering, the asterisk allows us to use different sizes of arrays. There's a link in the description if you'd like to know more. So now that we have our function set up, let's use it. Wow, this is looking so much better. Now for every letter we want the Arduino to blink, we only have 1 line of code to place. But you know, even though I like how nicely compact this code is, it would still be nice if it were easier to change up the message. Plus there are a few more things about programming I think you should know about, and this will give me a great chance for me to show you. But I'll be saving that for the 3rd and final installment of Morse code. So until next time, keep on tinkering.